The signal began as a whisper. Not a distress call. Not a beacon. Not even a recognizable pattern. Just a pulse. Commander Elias Ward didn't notice it at first. No one did. It slipped through the endless noise of deep space like a ghost, flickering at the edge of the 7th Fleet's long-range sensors. A faint, irregular tremor buried beneath cosmic radiation and dying echoes of distant quasars. It should have been ignored. It wasn't. "Run that again," Ward said quietly, leaning forward in his command chair. The bridge of the cruiser Resolute fell into a tense silence. Officers exchanged glances as the signal replayed across the main display, jagged, uneven spikes, repeating at no consistent interval. Lieutenant Aaron Cole frowned. "It's not matching any known comms protocol, sir. Could be background interference." Ward didn't blink. Interference doesn't repeat with intent. Cole hesitated, then nodded. "Enhancing." The signal sharpened. And that's when the whisper became a voice. "Aft." Every person on the bridge froze. The word was broken. Distorted. Stretched like something dragging itself through static and vacuum. But it was unmistakable. "Aft." Ward's jaw tightened. "Play it again." Aft." A chill spread through the room, not from temperature, but from something far older. Navigator Priya Sethi spoke, her voice low. "That system, the origin point, it's coming from Helios 9. Cole shook his head immediately. "That's impossible." It was. Helios 9 was dead. 200 years ago, the entire system had collapsed after its star went supernova decades ahead of predictions. Every colony, every outpost, gone. Reduced to expanding debris and radiation storms. The system had been declared permanently uninhabitable. Nothing survived Helios 9. Nothing could transmit from it. Ward stood slowly. "Confirm origin." "I already did," Sethi replied, her hands hovering over the console. 3 times. "It's not a reflection or a relay. The signal is originating from inside the system." Cole let out a nervous laugh. "Then something's wrong with our sensors." Ward turned to him. "Or something's wrong with our understanding." Silence again. The signal pulsed once more, louder this time. Aft. It didn't sound like a call for help. It sounded like recognition. The 7th Fleet didn't take chances. Within the hour, 2 reconnaissance frigates, Vanguard and Aegis, were dispatched toward Helios 9. Fast, agile, and equipped with the best sensor arrays humanity had ever built, they were designed for exactly this kind of anomaly. Ward watched their departure from the observation deck, hands clasped behind his back. "Ghost signals," Cole muttered beside him. "Old radiation patterns bouncing back after centuries. That's all this is." Ward didn't respond. Because deep down, he knew better. The first report from the Vanguard came 6 hours later. And it made no sense. Entering outer perimeter now, Captain Daniel Reeves' voice crackled over the comm. "Radiation levels are lower than expected." Ward frowned. "Lower?" "Yes, sir. It's like the supernova never fully." Static cut him off. The transmission collapsed into a shrill burst of noise. "Vanguard, repeat," Ward said sharply. No response. "Aegis, do you copy?" he demanded. A new voice came through, tight, controlled, but strained. "Captain Marcus Hale." "We see it," Hale said. "See what?" Ward asked. There was a pause. Too long. Then, "Sir, the star." Ward's grip tightened on the railing. "What about it?" "It's there." Every instinct in Ward's body screamed. "That's not possible," Cole whispered. Helios 9's star had gone supernova. There should be nothing left but a neutron core and expanding debris. Not a star. Not a living one. Hale's voice dropped to a near whisper. "It's burning, sir. Stable. Like it never died." The bridge lights flickered. For just a second. Then the signal returned. Louder than ever. Aft. Ward felt it this time. Not just heard it. Felt it. Like heat pressing against his skin from across the vacuum. "Aegis," he said carefully, "pull back immediately. Do not approach." "We're detecting movement," Hale interrupted. "Movement?" Ward snapped. "In the corona. Something's." The transmission cut out. Clean. Instant. Gone. Both ships. No explosion. No distress call. No debris. Just silence. The bridge stood frozen. 2 ships. Nearly 300 crew. Erased in seconds. Ward stared at the empty comm channel. Long-range sensors, he said slowly. Maximum range. Focus on the star. Cole's hands trembled as he complied. Scanning. Seconds passed. Then. Oh God. The display shifted. At the edge of detection range, something emerged. Not a ship. Not a structure. Something vast. Something burning. A shape formed within the star's outer layers, colossal, shifting, alive. Tendrils of plasma coiled and uncoiled like limbs. Its surface pulsed with impossible patterns, as if the star itself was breathing. Watching. Sethi's voice broke. That's not a stellar anomaly. No one disagreed. The signal came again. Clearer. Stronger. Off. Ward's chest tightened. It knows us, Cole whispered. Ward didn't answer. Because he was staring at the impossible thing rising from the heart of a dead star. And realizing one terrifying truth. This wasn't a signal sent into space. It was a signal waiting. For them. And now. It had found them. No one spoke for a long time after the image stabilized. The thing inside the star didn't just exist. It was aware. Commander Elias Ward stood at the center of the bridge, eyes locked on the projection. The swirling mass of plasma shifted again, and for a brief second, its shape almost resembled something deliberate, something structured. Not random. Not natural. Tell me that's a glitch, Lieutenant Aaron Cole said, his voice tight. No glitch, Navigator Priya Sethi replied quietly. It's maintaining form, adjusting to observation. Adjusting? Cole snapped. Stars don't adjust. Ward exhaled slowly. This isn't a star. No one argued. Admiral Victor Kane arrived within the hour. The flagship Dominion dropped out of warp alongside the Resolute, its massive hull cutting through the darkness like a blade. Behind it, the rest of the 7th Fleet followed, destroyers, carriers, support vessels, enough firepower to level continents. And for the first time in decades, it didn't feel like enough. Ward stood before the Admiral in the command chamber, the image of Helios 9 projected between them. Kane didn't speak immediately. His sharp eyes studied the burning anomaly, taking in every flicker, every unnatural movement. Report, he said finally. Ward kept it concise. 2 reconnaissance frigates lost. No debris. No distress signals. The object inside the star appears to be the source of the transmission. Kane nodded once. And the message? Ward hesitated. Then he said it. It's calling Earth by name, sir. A faint shift crossed Kane's expression, small, but real. That's not a coincidence, the Admiral said. No, sir. Silence settled between them. Then Kane straightened. We proceed with first contact. Cole, standing off to the side, couldn't help himself. Sir, with respect, we don't even know what that is. Kane turned his gaze toward him. Calm. Measured. That's exactly why we make contact, Lieutenant. The fleet advanced. Slowly. Carefully. Every ship maintained maximum combat readiness, weapons charged but not yet deployed. Energy shields hummed faintly across hulls as they approached the outer edge of Helios 9. And still. No resistance. The star burned steadily ahead of them, golden and violent, as if nothing had changed in 2 centuries. Except for the thing inside it. Ward stood on the bridge as the distance closed. Range? 2 million kilometers, Sethi replied. Holding position at your command. Kane's voice came through all channels. This is Admiral Victor Kane of the United Earth 7th Fleet. Unknown entity within Helios 9, you are being addressed by a peaceful exploratory force. We request communication. The transmission echoed into the void. No response. Seconds stretched. Then minutes. Cole let out a breath. Maybe it doesn't. The star flared. Not violently. Not randomly. Intentionally. A ripple of light surged across its surface, spreading outward in a perfect wave. The brightness intensified, forcing every ship to compensate instantly. Energy spike. Sethi called out. It's. The signal returned. Loud. Clear. Off. But this time, it wasn't broken. It was deliberate. And it was closer. Ward felt it again, that pressure, that heat, crawling under his skin. Kane's voice remained steady. We hear you. Identify yourself. For a moment, nothing happened. Then. The star moved. A massive arc of plasma peeled away from its surface, stretching outward into space without losing cohesion. It twisted, folding in on itself, forming something like a limb. No. A reach. Sir, Cole whispered. It's coming toward us. Hold position, Kane ordered. Ward's instinct screamed otherwise. But he held. The burning extension stretched farther, defying every known law of physics. It didn't dissipate. It didn't cool. It persisted. And then, it touched the nearest ship. The destroyer Valiant. For a single heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the ship vanished. Not exploded. Not damaged. Gone. Every system reading dropped to 0 instantly. No debris. No signal. No trace. Jesus, Cole choked. Pull back. Ward snapped. But it was already too late. The star flared again, brighter, hotter, angrier. Multiple arcs erupted outward this time, lashing through space like burning whips. Evasive maneuvers. Sethi shouted. The fleet scattered. Too slow. One arc sliced through a cruiser, its shields held for less than a second before collapsing. The hull beneath disintegrated instantly, atomized into nothing. Another reached a carrier. Same result. No explosions. Just erasure. Kane's voice cut through the chaos. All ships, return fire. The void lit up. Missiles streaked forward. Railguns fired. Directed energy beams lanced into the star's surface. And did nothing. The plasma absorbed it all, every shot, every impact, like rain disappearing into an ocean. It's not even reacting. Cole yelled. Ward stared at the display, mind racing. It doesn't see us as a threat. Another ship vanished. It doesn't see us as anything. The signal surged again, overpowering every channel. Off. But now it wasn't just a call. It was a statement. A recognition. And beneath it, something else. Something vast. Something ancient. Kane's voice hardened. All units, full retreat. Fall back to safe distance. Engines roared to life as the fleet turned away, pushing every system to its limit. Behind them, the star pulsed once more. But it didn't pursue. It didn't need to. Because as the 7th Fleet fled the system, one truth became horrifyingly clear. That thing hadn't attacked out of fear. Or defense. It hadn't even tried to stop them from escaping. It had simply reached out. Experimented. And erased them without effort. Ward stared back at the burning star, his chest tight. This isn't first contact, he said quietly. Cole swallowed. Then what is it? Ward didn't look away. It's a warning. Far behind them, Alio's 9 burned brighter than ever. And within it, the Fire Lord was awake. The 7th Fleet retreated 3 light hours before anyone dared speak freely again. By then, the silence wasn't relief. It was fear that had settled in and refused to leave. Commander Elias Ward stood in the tactical chamber aboard the Resolute, watching replay after replay of the destruction. Each erased ship vanished the same way, no explosion, no wreckage, just absence where something once existed. Admiral Victor Kane remained motionless at the head of the table. Finally, he spoke. We lost 9 ships in under 4 minutes. No one responded. Cole swallowed hard. Sir, it didn't even try. It just touched them. Ward nodded slowly. It wasn't fighting us. That's supposed to make me feel better? Cole muttered. Ward didn't answer. Because it didn't make him feel better either. The analysis room filled with fragmented sensor data, thermal patterns, and impossible readings. Scientists across the fleet were already arguing, voices overlapping through encrypted channels. It behaves like plasma, but with structure. It's not reacting to mass or energy like any known entity. It's inside the star but not confined by it. Admiral Kane cut through the noise. Enough. The room went quiet. He turned to Ward. Commander. You were closest during the initial encounter. What do you think it is? Ward hesitated. He had replayed it 100 times in his mind. The reach. The precision. The effortless erasure. It's not a creature in the way we understand it, Ward said carefully. It's not inside the star, it uses the star. Like a body. Cole frowned. So what, it's some kind of stellar parasite? Ward shook his head. No. Parasites consume. This, controls. Silence again. Then Kane leaned forward slightly. Can we kill it? No one answered immediately. Because every sensor, every simulation, every recorded second of combat said the same thing. No. Ward finally spoke. Not with anything we currently have. Cole let out a bitter laugh. So that's it? We just run? Ward's eyes stayed fixed on the hologram of Helios 9. Running didn't work. It followed us with a signal. That detail hung in the air. The signal. Of. Not random. Not incidental. Targeted. Hours passed. Then the idea came. It didn't come from a scientist. It came from desperation. Dr. Myra Halden, xenophysics lead, stood up during the strategy meeting. We're approaching this wrong. Kane turned slightly. Explain. She gestured to the data. We're treating it like an external enemy. A ship. A weapon. But everything we've observed suggests it isn't operating externally. Ward leaned forward. Then what is it doing? Halden hesitated. It's anchored. The room went quiet. She continued. It doesn't move through space like a ship. It doesn't chase. It doesn't hunt. It exists inside a stellar environment and modifies it from within. That star isn't its home, it's its medium. Cole frowned. So? Halden's eyes hardened. So you don't fight it like a fleet battle. She tapped the hologram, zooming into the star's core. You fight it like a system. That's when Ward said it. Then we don't attack it from outside. All eyes turned to him. He continued slowly. We go in. Cole's face drained. Into a star? Are you insane? It's already inside one, Ward replied. That's not the point. Kane raised a hand, silencing them both. Continue. Ward stepped closer to the hologram. Our weapons don't work because we're not reaching the source. Everything we've done has been surface level. The entity is embedded in the stellar core structure. Halden nodded slowly. If we could disrupt its internal coherence. Then we collapse its control, Ward finished. Cole stared at him. And how exactly do you propose we enter a star without dying instantly? Ward didn't answer immediately. Because the truth was simple. And terrifying. We use the prototype slipcore drives. The room froze. Even Kane's expression changed. No, the Admiral said flatly. Ward met his gaze. It's the only system capable of stabilizing matter through extreme gravitational and thermal gradients. We designed it for collapsing star remnants for extraction. It can hold a bubble of localized space-time integrity. Halden's voice sharpened. It was never tested anywhere near an active star. Ward nodded. I know. Cole took a step back. So we build a ship, drop it into a living star, and hope it doesn't get erased instantly. Ward looked at him. Yes. Silence again. Then Kane stood slowly. You're suggesting we send a strike team into Helios 9. Ward didn't look away. Not a fleet. Not weapons. A single insertion unit. Small enough to remain undetected. Cole shook his head. Undetected? It erased 3 warships like they were dust. Ward's voice dropped. Then we don't present ourselves as warships. He paused. We present ourselves as nothing. That night, the fleet changed course. Engineering ships broke formation. Classified construction modules were deployed. The largest vessel in the 7th Fleet's auxiliary group, previously a support carrier, was stripped down and rebuilt under sealed orders. No insignia. No standard weapons arrays. Only one thing mattered now. Stability under impossible conditions. Ward stood on the observation deck as the skeleton of the new vessel took shape. Cole approached quietly. You really think this will work? Ward didn't answer right away. Then, no. Cole blinked. Then why are we doing it? Ward looked out at the distant red glow of Helios 9 on long-range scans. Because doing nothing already lost us 3 ships. He turned slightly. And because it called us by name. Behind them, the ship's hull began to take form. And somewhere far away in the darkness between stars, Helios 9 burned a little brighter. As if it was waiting. The ship that would carry them into Helios 9 had no name anymore. Officially, it was listed as UNS Provisional Asset 7X. Unofficially, the crew called it something far less comforting. The Coffin. Commander Elias Ward stood on the bridge as final systems checks cycled through. The vessel hummed with unstable energy, slipcore drives straining against containment fields, bending space into a fragile bubble around the hull. Nothing about this ship was meant to survive what came next. Lieutenant Aaron Cole adjusted his harness, voice tight. All I'm saying is, this feels like a bad idea that learned how to wear engineering paperwork. Ward didn't look at him. Noted. From the observation blister, Admiral Victor Kane watched the final preparations. He wasn't coming with them. He couldn't. Fleet Command needed continuity if this failed. And everything in his posture said he expected it to fail. Dr. Myra Halden's voice echoed through comms. Slip core field stable at 78%. Any higher and we risk temporal shear inside the hull. Cole muttered, temporal shear is now on my list of things I never wanted to hear in real life. Ward finally spoke. Status on Helios 9? Sethi replied from sensors. We're on final approach vector. Star is unchanged. That should have been reassuring. It wasn't. Because nothing about Helios 9 felt stable anymore. Even from this distance, the system felt aware. Like something vast was watching them approach without moving a single visible limb. And waiting. Final jump window in 30 seconds, Halden said. The bridge lights dimmed as power rerouted into containment. The ship vibrated faintly, like it was resisting its own existence. Cole swallowed. If this goes wrong, do we explode or just stop existing? Ward replied without hesitation. Unknown. That's not comforting. It's honest. The countdown reached 0. Space folded. The provisional asset 7X didn't move forward. It fell. Reality bent inward as the slipcore drive forced a controlled collapse of local spacetime. Stars stretched into lines. Darkness compressed into unbearable pressure. The ship became a point of forced existence sliding through something that should not have been navigable. Inside the hull, alarms screamed silently as physics strained against itself. Then. Impact. Not collision. Arrival. Helios 9 filled every viewport. It wasn't just a star. It was a living catastrophe. The surface burned in impossible layers, flames that moved with intent, plasma currents folding into geometric patterns that shouldn't exist in nature. The corona twisted like vast, invisible hands shaping the stellar body from within. And beneath it all, something watched back. Cole whispered, "We are inside it." Ward's eyes stayed fixed forward. Maintain slip core integrity. Halden's voice was tight. Field at 61% and dropping. We're inside a medium that doesn't obey thermal or gravitational constants anymore. I don't know how long the hull holds. Long enough, Ward said. For what? Cole asked. Ward didn't answer. Because even he wasn't entirely sure anymore. Then the star reacted. Not outward. Inward. The entire interior of Helios 9 shifted. Plasma currents reoriented in perfect synchronization. The structure of the star noticed them. And responded. A wave of heat, no pressure, rolled toward the ship. The slipcore field screamed as it absorbed forces it was never designed to handle. Alarms erupted across every system. Containment dropping. Halden shouted. We're losing spatial stability. Cole gripped his console. It knows we're here. Ward stared at the unfolding impossible geometry outside the ship. Good. Cole snapped his head toward him. Good. Ward's voice hardened. We didn't come here to hide. And then it appeared. Not as a creature. Not as a body. But as an interpretation of control. A vast region of the star dimmed, not darkened, but focused. Within that focus, plasma aligned into a structured presence. Something like an eye, but made of burning gravitational folds and luminous pressure gradients. It looked at them. And it remembered. Of. The voice wasn't sound. It was heat. It pressed directly into their minds, each syllable vibrating through the hull, through their bones, through thought itself. Cole staggered. It's speaking again. Ward held steady. Hold position. Halden's voice cracked. Slip core at 40%. We cannot maintain structural integrity under this level of stellar compression. The Fire Lord shifted. And for the first time, it noticed the ship wasn't outside it anymore. It noticed they were inside its body. The reaction was immediate. The star tightened. Space itself compressed around them as Helios 9 began to constrict inward, like a living organism sealing a wound. Cole shouted, "It's closing around us." Ward's eyes narrowed. "Then we disrupt it now." Now? Halden yelled. "We don't even know where it is inside." Ward interrupted. "Yes we do." He pointed at the shifting core structure on the tactical display. "It's centralized. Everything flows through that region." Cole stared. "That's inside a stellar collapse zone." Ward nodded. "Then we go there." Silence. Even Halden stopped speaking. Because there was no alternative left. Ward keyed the internal deployment systems. A small insertion pod separated from the ship's core, barely more than a reinforced capsule with a stabilizing field emitter. Cole looked at him sharply. You're going in? Ward met his gaze. Someone has to be inside it when we disrupt the structure. That's suicide. Ward stepped into the pod without hesitation. So was coming here. The hatch sealed. The pod detached. For a moment, Ward saw the ship shrinking behind him. Then Alios 9 swallowed everything. And the Fire Lord turned its attention fully toward the intruder inside its own heart. The insertion pod drifted through the collapsing heart of Alios 9 like a shard of broken reality. Commander Elias Ward no longer felt like he was inside a star. He felt like he was inside something that had been thinking about being a star. The Fire Lord's core was everywhere now, no longer a single structure, but a collapsing lattice of controlled plasma and fractured gravitational intent. Each layer of it unraveled as Ward descended, like a mind losing coherence under pressure it could no longer resolve. Slip field at 12%, Dr. Halden reported, voice tight. Elias, it's compressing all internal structure toward your position. You are the focal point. Lieutenant Aaron Cole swallowed hard. So we're basically the most interesting thing it's ever seen. Ward didn't take his eyes off the core. And it doesn't know what we are. The star responded. Not with sound. With recognition. Of. The word wasn't spoken anymore. It was applied to him, like a concept forced into a system that couldn't contain it properly. The Fire Lord tightened its entire structure. Alios 9 folded inward, attempting to isolate the intruder at its center. Plasma currents aligned into impossible geometry, forming containment patterns older than human civilization had ever been. Halden's voice rose. It's sealing the core. It's trying to trap you inside a closed loop of stellar pressure. Cole muttered, that's a fancy way of saying we're about to be crushed by a thinking sun. Ward responded calmly. Then we stop it from thinking. The pod broke through the final layer. Inside, reality changed again. There was no space in the core, only structured intent. The Fire Lord's consciousness was not a brain or a point of awareness. It was a distributed decision spanning the entire star, continuously reinforcing itself through energy flow. Ward saw it clearly now. It wasn't just powerful. It was stable because nothing had ever forced it to be otherwise. Until now. The voice fractured. For the first time, it sounded uncertain. Ward leaned forward slightly. You've been alone too long. The Fire Lord reacted instantly. The core flared. Not in anger. In disruption. Elias. Halden shouted. It's losing coherence across multiple layers. Whatever you just said. I made it hesitate, Ward said. Cole blinked. You made a star hesitate. Ward didn't answer. Because the hesitation was spreading. Across Alios 9, plasma flows began to desynchronize. Gravitational patterns lost rhythm. The Fire Lord's internal unity, the thing that had held it together for millennia, started to fracture under the idea that it was not the only structure capable of defining reality. Ward activated the payload interface. Halden's voice dropped. If you trigger it here, the entire stellar core will collapse into uncontrolled dissipation. Ward nodded once. That's the point. Cole's voice cracked. We don't even know if it counts as alive. Ward stared into the burning core. It does now, he said. And he triggered it. There was no explosion. Only failure of coherence. Across Alios 9, structure broke apart. Plasma lost coordination. The Fire Lord's unified consciousness shattered into fragments too small to sustain control. The star screamed, not in sound, but in loss of self. Ward felt it everywhere at once. Then. Silence. The pod was thrown clear as Alios 9 collapsed into ordinary stellar matter. What had once been a thinking sun became a dying star stripped of purpose. On the Resolute, sensor readings stabilized. Cole exhaled shakily. Is it gone? Halden checked the final data. No coherent signal remains. Ward watched the fading glow. It can die, he said quietly. A long pause. Then Cole asked, what does that make us? Ward didn't look away from the star. Something it didn't understand. And far beyond the broken system, in the dark between stars, other fires began to listen.